Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to troubleshoot the top 6 reasons why your refrigerator is not dispensing water. Stick around to the end of the video for an important tip that can help save you money. But before we begin, we're going to make sure the appliance is unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off the water supply underneath the sink. First thing to check is the water inlet valve. It controls the water going into the refrigerator. Water inlet valves have solenoids that open and close to send water to the ice maker and dispenser. They're usually located at the back of the machine behind the access panel, but some can be found inside the fresh food section. If your refrigerator is not dispensing water, it could be because the water inlet valve has failed. A lot of times this is caused by a bad solenoid, jam plunger, or a clog in the valve. First, check to make sure the house water pressure is good. The system needs a certain pressure to work properly. Check your manual to determine what your fridge requires. If it's too low, water may not be able to reach the dispenser. If the water dispenser solenoid has failed, the water valve may not open to send water to the dispenser. Once you locate the valve, you have to determine which solenoid is for the dispenser. Usually it's the larger 5/16 inch line. Once you locate it, we can test the solenoid for continuity. In order to see if the part can carry an electric current, we have to test it with a multimeter set to continuity. Once you have it set, touch the probes together to make sure it's working. Start by removing the wiring harness from the solenoid. Then touch a probe to each terminal. If you don't get a reading, then the solenoid has failed and you'll have to replace the valve. If the solenoid tests okay, we need to check to see if the valve is clogged or jammed. To do that, temporarily turn the water and power back on. Then put a bowl underneath the valve to catch any water that may come out. Then disconnect the 5/16 inch water line. Now press the dispenser and see if any water comes out of the valve. If it doesn't, that means the inlet valve is clogged or damaged and needs to be replaced. If you need to order a part, simply go to AppliancePartsPros.com and type in your model number. Find your part on the easy-to-read diagrams and match it to the number below. Click on the part if you want to see more pictures of the item or watch its repair video. You can also scroll down to see DIY stories from customers like you, or ask a question in the Q&A section. Once you're ready, you can add the part to your cart. It's that easy. Most orders will arrive within 2 business days. Next, we need to check out the water filter assembly. It filters the water as it comes into the fridge. Depending upon your design, the water filter assembly is made up of a water filter and either a water filter head or a water filter housing. The assembly is usually located inside the fresh food section or down by the kick panel. Sometimes if the water filter is old, it can get clogged up and either reduce or stop the water flow to the ice maker and dispenser. If the head is damaged, you'll likely get no water flow at all. To check them, you'll have to temporarily turn the water and power back on, then push the dispenser to check the water flow. If it seems slow, try replacing the water filter to see if that fixes the problem. If not, the check valve in the water filter housing may be stuck. Most water filter heads have a check valve that turns the water off if it fails or the water filter is removed. They usually have 1 or 2 pins that have to be pressed in as if the filter was there. If you have the pin style, then you can put a towel down, take the filter out, and use a couple small screwdrivers to press them in. Then press the dispenser. If you don't get any water flow, then the check valve is bad and you'll need to replace the water filter head. If you can't access them or you don't see the pins, you'll have to leave the good filter in and go around to the back of the refrigerator and disconnect the water filter return line. You want to put a towel or a bowl down to catch any water that may come out. Once you're ready, you can press the water dispenser in the door. If you don't get any water flow at the water filter return line, then the filter head is broken and needs to be replaced. Now we need to look at the dispenser switch bracket. It's what holds the dispenser switch. The dispenser switch bracket holds the dispenser switch in the correct position so the dispenser arm hits the switch. The dispenser switch bracket is located in the dispenser area, usually behind the control panel. If the bracket is damaged and the switch is not held in place, then the dispenser arm won't hit the switch to turn the water on. You'll have to use a putty knife or a small screwdriver to release the control panel frame. Once you have access to the bracket, inspect it for damage, and replace if needed. Next thing to look at is the dispenser arm. It's what you press on to dispense the water. There are many different styles of dispenser arms, but they all do the same thing. When pressed, they hit a switch that tells the water valve to open, allowing water to flow out of the dispenser. Dispenser arms are located inside the dispenser area of the door. If it's broken, it may not be able to actuate the switch to let the water flow. In order to inspect the arm, you'll have to use a putty knife or a small screwdriver to release the control panel frame. Once you have access to the arm, inspect it for damage and replace if needed. As always, guys, hit those like and subscribe buttons now to help support us making more of these videos. Now we need to check the dispenser switch. It tells the water valve to open when you press on the dispenser arm. Dispenser switches usually have two terminals on one end and a button on the other. When you press the dispenser arm, it hits the button on the switch, which sends power to open the water inlet valve. For the style of fridges with dispenser arms, the dispenser switch is usually located behind the control panel frame. If you have the actuator pad style, the button will be located directly behind the pad. If it fails, the refrigerator won't dispense water. If you have the dispenser arm style, just as before, you'll have to use a putty knife or a small screwdriver to release the control panel frame. If you have the pad style, you'll have to remove the pad. Once you have access to the switch, you'll have to remove the wires so we can test it for continuity. Touch a probe to each terminal and then press the button. It should have continuity with the button pressed. If it doesn't, then the switch is bad and needs to be replaced. The last things to look at are the water tank and line. They hold the chilled water inside the refrigerator. Water tanks are either an actual reservoir or a long length of tubing coiled up to hold the water and keep it cool. They're usually located in the back of the fresh food section, either behind an access panel or the back wall itself. Sometimes the water in the tank or line can get frozen up and the refrigerator won't dispense water. If the tank gets frozen up and you don't want to unplug your fridge to let it defrost, you can use a blow dryer to speed up the defrosting. If a water line is frozen up somewhere and you can't reach it, then you may have to unplug the refrigerator and let it thaw out. Usually if they freeze up, it's because the temperature is set too low, so you may have to adjust the temperature settings so it doesn't happen again. It doesn't happen very often, but if the water line is frozen up right at the dispenser, you want to make sure that the ice chute door is sealing properly. If not, it could let cold air seep through and freeze the line. Now here's that money-saving tip we mentioned earlier. If your freezer compartment isn't getting as cold as they used to, and your ice cream's getting soft, it could be that your condenser coils are dirty. Dirty coils can cause the freezer to run warmer than normal if the condenser and other components are covered in dust and pet hair. Dust and pet hair can insulate the coils, preventing them from working efficiently. This can also make the refrigerator run more and cause wear and tear to those components. Keeping the coils clean can improve your refrigerator's efficiency by 30%, so doing this can save you money on your electric bill and future repair costs. In order to clean them, you'll have to pull the refrigerator out and remove the rear access panel. Then carefully clean the coils. Keep in mind that some may be accessed from the front. You may have to use a condenser cleaning brush to reach in there. Also, while you're back there, clean the compressor, condenser motor and fan blade, and wipe down everything else. Be sure you're careful not to damage anything, and make sure you do this at least once a year. Once you take care of the problem, you can plug the appliance in, turn the water back on, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another troubleshooting video brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons now, and if you have any questions or want to share how your repair went, leave a comment down below.